Hello and welcome to the very first retro review. For a little context, my first gaming experiences were with the original Xbox, so I've missed out on a lot of the classics from the 90s. Now, for these reviews, I won't be heavily critiquing the visuals, unless I see something absolutely terrible. It's a bit harsh to compare them to today's standards, but as we know, graphics aren't everything either, as proven with the recent popularity of indie games such as Phasmophobia and Among Us. You can have just as much fun for the fraction of the budget of AAA titles. This first game doesn't really need any introduction, but I'll give you one anyway. I can't be the only retro gaming newbie out there. Half-Life is a first-person shooter developed by Valve, which was also their first release back in 1998 on Windows. Speaking of which, does anyone else feel that Windows 98 was peak Windows? Anyway, it's the first in a series of games which also includes Blue Shift, Opposing Force, Half-Life 2, including episodes 1 and 2, and most recently Half-Life Alyx. You play as Gordon Freeman, a scientist who must escape the Black Mesa research facility after it is invaded by aliens. And, I might add, you'd never see this shit over at Aperture Science. The core gameplay consists of fighting alien and human enemies with a variety of weapons and solving puzzles. I'm terrible at puzzles. Half-Life received acclaim for its graphics, realistic gameplay and seamless narrative. It won over 50 PC Game of the Year awards and is considered one of the most influential first-person shooter games and one of the best video games ever made. By 2008 it has sold over 9 million copies. But, how does it hold up? Our story begins at the Black Mesa facility where Gordon Freeman is assisting an experiment at the Anomalous Materials Department. However, things go awry. Because of course. And before you know it, you're facing off against all kinds of monsters and humans alike, while this dude just judges you throughout various parts of the game. The premise is pretty straightforward. Escape the Black Mesa research facility. After numerous puzzles and eliminating countless aliens and soldiers, Freeman is eventually transported by a few surviving Lambda Team scientists to the alien homeworld of Zen, where he manages to eliminate the alien leader, the Nihilanth? Sorry. Upon recovering from this final encounter, Freeman is finally confronted by the mysterious G-Man, who has been observing Freeman from a distance throughout the entire game. He shows Freeman several locations throughout Earth and Zen, before finally offering him a choice. Either agree to work for him and his mysterious employers, or be left to die on Zen without any weapons and surrounded by hostile alien lifeforms. It's not really much of a choice, is it?
To the portal, and I will take that as a yes. Otherwise, well, I can offer you a battle you have no chance of winning. Rather an anticlimax after what you've just survived. Time to choose.
Half-Life 2 makes the assumption that Freeman accepts the G-Man's offer.
Wisely done, Mr. Freeman. I will see you up ahead.
Watch it with that thing!
Having played this game for around 15 long hours now, I can tell you that Half-Life is easily one of the most frustrating games I've ever played. It's unrelentingly difficult, even when a newbie like me set it to easy. There's nothing like struggling on easy to make you feel inadequate. Maybe I'm just too used to modern games though. Were games this frustrating back then? For me, the controls is where the game just does not hold up to modern standards. Running off the edge of things seemed to be a consistent issue for me. Your character just doesn't stop, he just keeps on going. And what the hell is up with this jump crouching mechanic that you're never told how to do? And while we're at it, at one point, one of the scientists tells you to practice your long jump. But the game doesn't tell you how to do this. And it's not on the list of keyboard commands either. Like, really? Automatically sinking in water is a bit odd too. Like, why? As I was growing increasingly frustrated with my lack of prowess at Half-Life, I discovered this. Finally, I am unstoppable. Oh. It's not really cheating if it's part of the game though, right? Other than blatant cheating, the only way to become half decent at this game seems to be through trial and error and memorising where every lurking enemy is.
Administering medical attention.
Overall, the level design was one of the highlights of this game for me. The continuity between levels really stands out and gives the game fluidity. There are no real cutscenes to move the game along, so the end of one level is the beginning of the next. I did have a few gripes with specific levels though. On a Rail seemed to be a never-ending loop of railroad tracks, and I was glad to be done with that one. It was pretty boring. I had similar feelings towards the beginning of Apprehension. Getting stuck repeatedly just broke the flow of the game and left me feeling frustrated and inadequate. What did we do before Google and YouTube walkthroughs? Also, either I'm dumb or it's not always easy to find where you need to go in this game. I can accept that it's quite possibly the former though. I spent a good 10 minutes riding around on these conveyor belts before I finally worked out where to go. There was another scenario like this during surface tension. I was fairly sure I was going the right way, but it seemed to be blocked. Oh wait, I actually need to go straight through this patch of nothingness. How silly of me. While we're at it, I also came across quite the quirk whilst playing the blast pit level. There was a part where I had to fall through a pipe onto a table, but with only 4 HP I couldn't survive the fall. So okay, fine. I loaded up a previous save and attempted it again with 44 HP. I died. Again. So I took things a step further and decided to Google my quandary. I found a helpful YouTube video showing me exactly what to do. I followed this as best I could. And of course, I died. In the end, I seemed to make it past this section by blind luck. I know I spent the last couple of minutes moaning, but I still think the level design and environmental storytelling in this game is great. Every level feels like it's connected, and the game really feels like it naturally flows through the levels. I was particularly fond of the design and aesthetic of the Interloper chapter, although this one is very tricky, especially if you're struggling with the controls. I can't talk about first-person shooter without discussing the array of weapons available. You start off the game with no weapons at all until you come across a crowbar. As I progressed through the game, my arsenal increased quite nicely with a good selection of weapons on offer. I found that I rarely had any issues running out of ammo, and even then there's still the crowbar. The crossbow is pretty awesome. Well, most of the time it is anyway. It's still my favourite though, along with the rocket launcher. Each of the weapons were really easy to use, and your inventory is easy to navigate through. About the only part of the game I did find easy.
Gordon Freeman in the flesh.
As infuriating as I found this game, there's no denying that the storyline is tight and engaging. I just couldn't put it down no matter how frustrating things got. I just had to finish it. Apart from a couple of slower levels, the game had me gripped from start to finish. I found the story so intriguing I jumped straight into the other games in the franchise. Now I join the ranks of long-suffering Half-Life fans who are still awaiting Half-Life 3. As my main complaint about the game was the controls, which didn't really hold up for me, I'm very much looking forward to trying the remake Black Mesa. which benefits from a serious upgrade using the Source engine.
Sure, you don't.
I'll be doing another video on that, so please do look out for it. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Please also leave a comment with any retro games you'd like to see me playing too.